Welcome to the speaker series on a shot glass of recovery.
Yeah. You get a house, you get a car, then you start thinking that's all you are, but you don't know the truth. So let me spell it out for you. Now I got your attention, now that's a start. Now sit and listen to my favorite part. Life's been giving us some clues. The answer lies inside of you.
Welcome to the speaker series on a shot glass of recovery. Hi, I'm your host, Lisa M. Thanks for joining me again.
Here I started talking, telling you how happy I was to be here, and I wasn't unmuted yet. What God has done to me, I said Tom alcoholic. What God has done to me is tapped me on the shoulder one time and said, you know what? You're going to take this speaking seriously in AA when you have to do it. I said, okay, I'm willing to do that. So what he did was he wouldn't let me sleep last night. I was up, very concerned I'd miss the meeting, very concerned that I'd screw it up. So I've been up most of the night waiting for 7 o'clock. So where am I? How did I get here? And why do I stay? If you're new to the meeting or new to AA, please, what I say to you is not original. These are things that have been said to me that I have held on to in the back of my brain. So they're not in the front where I can pick them out and talk about them. They're in the back of my brain. And also, they're all around me in the spiritual realm that I've been encased with by doing the steps. And I'll get into more of that in a while. So sit back, relax, and listen. It's not going to be easy if you're new and just stop drinking. That's very difficult. But you can do it. And all you have to do is 5 minutes at a time while you're at the meeting. And if you finish the 5 minutes, do another 5 minutes. That's how AA works. There's no magic formula, but it's a minute at a time, a day at a time, and that's how you'll get your first week sober, a day at a time. We all did. So if you look around, you see people here at the meeting, and they're alcoholic. That's how they did it, a day at a time. So if they can do it, look around and say, listen, if that gal or guy did it, I can do it, I hope. That's what I said. Bill Duncan, AA number 3, his story starts on page 182. And one of his problems after Bill and Bob talked to him was, I don't know if I can do this. I desperately want not to drink. I don't know if I can do that. If I have he didn't use these words, intestinal fortitude. If I had the strength. Well, when I read that, raised my hand and said, that was Tom Wicks. That's who I was in the very beginning. I was desperate not to pick up a drink. I wasn't sure I could do it. I felt I was such a failure with my drinking and my life that you people were unbelievable. Some of you hadn't had a drink in 3 years. And I was like, oh my God. But then you told me gently, do it today. So I came in the middle of October 1970. The night before I came in, I had been homicidal. I tried to kill somebody with my bare hands. And I'm here because a man was walking a dog in a park, and he pulled me apart from the person. He walked me home. And then the whole thing started. The whole recovery thing started. I had no idea I was an alcoholic. I've been drinking since I was 14 years old, maybe earlier. And the drink that I jump on first is the first Manhattan I ever had, stand-up Manhattan. And this is what it did to me. It burned my throat. It put fire in my chest. And a minute or two later, it went to my brain. and it altered my brain forever. Somehow, I didn't give a shit anymore. I was okay. I had found a solution to adolescence, to any insecurity, to the lack of love and connection I felt with people. Anything negative, alcohol said to me, I'm your answer. Now, I didn't know that was happening. And let me be very clear. This is what it did chemically to me. Alcohol is a toxin. Alcohol, the substance, can only do one thing: intoxicate you, quote, lower the inhibitions you have. Well, that's what happened with me. Nothing mattered. I was in charge of myself, and I did what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to do was drink. It was that severe in the very beginning. Now, I used to do a lot of workshops and lectures in rehabs, and I used to draw a picture, a circle, and below it a rectangle, and they were attached. And I said, here's alcoholism. Simple. The majority of the problem when we drink is in our head. And like I said, it takes away the inhibitions. It gives us time to think or not think, obviously. So that's what it does, and many, many other things in the brain. It shuts things down. And the body, some people don't get cirrhosis. In my case, my home group sent me to the doctors. I guess I was sober 3 months. And the guy said to me, you need to go to a doctor. We have a doctor that treats alcoholics. But he's not treating many anymore because he's affiliated with a big hospital. But if you call his office and you give him a password, he'll see you. Okay, I'll do it. The password was Hope Street. That's the name of my group, my home group. So I said Hope Street. I went to see him. He throws me up on that examining table. I'm laying on my back and he's pushing all over. And he said, you have a very enlarged liver. I was 30 years old. As a sick alcoholic, I did not ask him one question. I just shrugged my shoulders to myself. Period. I had lost everything, the ability to think, to do critical thinking. That word wasn't in my universe even. Wasn't in my universe. So I left there. He gave me niacinamide for my nerves because I had peripheral neuropathy. You know, I used to get those hot spots and my legs jumped. I don't know if you had shaky legs. I had shaky legs for over 3 years. At meetings anywhere, my legs were moving. And so I wound up in AA on that Monday. They took me to a big meeting, got a cup of coffee, went to the table, sat down, but I was starting to shake because I hadn't had a drink in 12 hours, and that was a long time for me. So I spilled the coffee all over, and George and Lou cleaned it up and said to me, we'll get you another cup. Don't worry about it. They got me a half a cup of coffee, and that's how I started my first meeting. I'm sharing my experience. All are not the same. I didn't go to a detox because if they suggested it, back in those days, it was $165 cash. Obviously, you don't trust an alcoholic. You can't take a check. That'd be ridiculous. So I couldn't go, so I sweated it out at home. And that was nasty. That was really nasty. I soaked the bed the first 3 or 4 nights. I stunk. If I took my shoes off in a living room, a couple minutes later, or less than that, obviously, my wife could smell it. Well, that was the alcohol coming out. I didn't know that, but I didn't know I was an alcoholic. So I get to the detox is over, and now I'm going to my home group twice a week. Wednesday and Friday. And I'm going to a meeting other places every single day. They shared with me, and I'll use this word maybe a lot. They shared how they did it. The group shared how the group did it. Nobody pointed a finger at me in AA ever. This is what you do. Some places and some people do that in AA, and I'm thankful that they didn't do it with me because I had a big problem with authority since I was 4 years old. I had a big problem with authority. I met my father and stepmother when I was 4.5 years old. I had been in a foster home. The minute they told me to do something, we had a problem. Nobody told me what to do. You could ask me, well, isn't that stupid for a 4.5-year-old? That's the stupidest thing in the world. I held on to that until I was 30 years old. I had tons of trouble with any kind of authority, tons of trouble. But that's my story, not everybody's. And if you're new, you're going to hear people share some of the stuff they did, thought, felt, or happened is going to be identical to yours. Some of the stuff, not all, and it doesn't have to be that way. I didn't have to have seizures. I didn't have to kill somebody in an automobile accident. I didn't have to be a churchgoer or say I was an atheist. I just had to say, as we read in the How It Works, a desire to stop drinking. That's what I had to have to come into AA. And I did. I did. So I learned to wash ashtrays, put the chairs down and fold them up, fold the tables up, mop the floor when the coffee was spilled at our meeting. So all kinds of stuff like that. And then one day, Lou said, this is funny. Lou said to me at my third day in AA, I was at the home group. I didn't know it was home group yet. He said to me, you're going to sit at this table until I tell you you can move. And he said it in a nice way. And I was 2 days away from a drink. So I wasn't thinking yet even. And he told me that, and the table was in a very, very front, in front of the podium. And he said to me, listen, you will be able to hear the speaker if the microphone fails. You'll be able to hear the speaker if they speak softly. And thirdly, you're not going to see who comes in late. And you're not going to see the women who are good looking coming in late. You're going to hear the message, and that's it. I stayed there for 3 years, twice a week, at the exact same seat in front of the podium. Now, some of us don't do it that way. We fight the program. We have an attitude, blah, blah, blah. We're all different. We're all different. I was desperate. I was terrified, and I still am, that I will ever pick up another drink because of what happened, because of my last drunk. They say, remember your last drunk. Some people said, oh, it wasn't the worst drunk. We don't really care. If it was your last one, we hope you keep it your last. So remember the last drunk, the last incident. No, it doesn't have to be the worst. So I understood that. I listened and I did it. They told me to go to a variety of meetings, step meetings, speaker meetings, discussion meetings. So I went to one every single day, different ones. I mixed them up. I've been going to AA for almost 54 years. I'm going towards 55. Almost every single day of my life since 30 years old. I don't want to pick up a drink. I don't want to get back into this head that says, screw you, I know how to do it. Don't worry, all kinds of stuff like that. Or the worst thing, that spiritually I start dying. I start forgetting the power of the people in AA who helped me, who gave of themselves, who cared about me. This is how I got sober. People cared about me. Lou and a whole bunch of other people. When I went through hard times in my sobriety, which life brings, you don't get sober and never a problem from that day on. No, folks, we feel the problems. We don't run from them. If we're in a group, we can share them within our group, and people will share. And this is what's most important to me and why I linked on to AA. You shared your experience, your strength, and your hope. You didn't share your opinion. You didn't share, I know what you should do. Nope. If you didn't have the same thing that I did and I addressed that problem, you didn't talk about it because you didn't do it. I learned from somebody, which was a blessing. Every single divorce is different. Every single one. So don't be running around talking about yours like you're the only one that had troubles. They all had trouble, but they were all a tiny bit different. They're not trying to give you answers. You have to find the answer yourself through the steps, through talking to people in your home group. And if you have a sponsor, you can talk to your sponsor about it. I had a sponsor after 2 years. Name was Jim M. Fabulous guy, fabulous guy. He taught me one major thing that's probably been the greatest thing ever. He's about the program. He said, listen, you're going to a lot of meetings. That's really good. You're going to step meetings. I'm happy with that. I am not a sponsor who goes out for supper. If you want to go for supper with me, we'll meet at a meeting, go to the meeting together, and then we'll go for supper. Very important.